This next item that I'm going to talk about, everybody's probably had one or so in their life, and everybody's probably pronounced this thing a little bit differently than anybody. There's probably 3 or 4 ways to pronounce it, and that is a gyro. And a gyro is a item in Greece. Some people say gyro, some people say gyro, some people say, I don't know what else they call these things. But a gyro is how it is actually pronounced in Greece. And it's really good. I mean, the true meat in the gyro is usually either chicken or pork or traditionally lamb. And they work the best, and they have a tzatziki sauce that is made with, chopped up onion, and sometimes they'll have tomato. The tzatziki sauce is a cucumber, yogurt sauce, but they'll have the tzatziki, then they'll add chopped onions and tomatoes and stuff like that on it. And it's really good. And to have that in Greece, to walk down the street and have that, a handful of the gyro in your hand is just, it's an amazing experience. It really is. And I'd like to know if any of you had it. Now, I not only had one in Greece, I also had one all over the Mediterranean. And they're very, very the same. They're a little bit different in each one. But what's different there than here is, here they have the meat that's on a skewer. If it's on a skewer, most of the time they buy them in a box already sliced up. But the meat here is already formed. It's already made. Over there, it's layers of meat that are just piled on top of each other. And it's so good. Now, something that's very similar to it, I've also had, and was very fortunate, is a doner kebab in Turkey. And the doner kebab is very similar. It's got the same kind of meat. It has the vegetables in Turkey, but it's a little bit different. It's usually got a little bit bigger slices of meat. But it is really, really good. And if you haven't had a chance to do either of those, you want to. Again, these are some bucket list food type trips that you want to do sometime. And I could be talking for hours on some of these things, to be honest with you folks, but I only have a 30-minute show to do. So to talk about some of these and to get into, having some of the foods that we're going to have throughout the world. I mean, there's some great foods out there, is something that's unique. One of the great things, and I was fortunate back in 1970, I guess it was early 78. I was one of 10 Americans, kids. I was a Boy Scout at the time. I was 10 Americans and 300 scouts worldwide that went into a small town called Friuli, Italy. In 1976, Friuli had a massive, massive earthquake on May 6, 1976. It was a 6.5 earthquake, destroyed the entire town. And I was one of 300 scouts all over the world that went over and helped rebuild the city of Friuli. Probably one of the most interesting experiences I've ever had. Having these people come to me. I couldn't speak Spanish. It's Italian. I learned Spanish when I was a kid, so I'd speak to them in Spanish. They'd speak to me in Italian. We communicated somewhat. But they would come into these ruins where we were clearing out the ruins and putting up prefab houses. And you would just see their faces and see the memories. And we'd find different things for them throughout this rubble. And their eyes would light up. And they'd bring out these big, huge bottles of grappa. And it was kind of like it's an Italian version of ouzo, and it's like a grain alcohol, and it's so good. And they'd be in these 2-liter bottles, and we were young kids. I was only like 15, I guess, at the time. And how these houses, I thank God they were prefabs, because if we had to build these houses after drinking all that grappa, these houses would be all crooked. They'd be the Leaning Tower of Friuli's, but thank goodness they were all prefabs and we were able to put them all together. But it was a really great experience. But it made me think about just having an aperitivo in Milan, and this was Friuli's right outside of Milan. It's not that far away, and just to have an aperitivo, it's a cocktail, along with endless. It just seems like endless plates of food, and usually they're nuts and they're olives and they're burrata, and there's all kinds of different cheeses and there's salamis, and you would have all this food out. There could be little pearl onions or cornichon pickles or something, whatever it might be. And you have all these food, the aperitivos and a cocktail. And as a kid, I remember the cocktail was Campari, which I know to this day I don't think I like. And but that was where everybody had, and it was really a great experience just to be able to sit there, to have that, and to think of Italy every time you're up there. And it brings me back to some of my memories, and some of them are happy, some of them not so good. Mostly with these things in Friuli, and it was great to be one of those people to help be over there and help the 157,000 people that were left homeless during that earthquake, and to help rebuild them and give them some kind of future. So we were very blessed and happy to be able to do that. So one of my other bucket list things that I have not done yet, and Japan happens to be on my top 3 probably countries to go to on my personal bucket list, but to be able to have sashimi, and that's probably another one I'm going to hear all these grunting sounds. And for those of you that don't know, sashimi is actually the raw fish that you would have. Sushi doesn't have to be raw. That's a big misconception when people hear about sushi. All sushi means is with rice. But sashimi is the raw fish. Usually it's going to be like a salmon or a tuna. It could be a red snapper. It could be all kinds of different ones. But just the fact of being able to have sashimi in Japan and eating your way through Japan with getting that slice of salmon or slice of tuna, just a couple of drops of olive oil, a little bit of soy sauce, and little sesame seeds put over that. Oh my gosh, it just makes your mouth water. And just to be able to do that and try that, eating that in the freshest place where you can get those in Japan, and just that to me would be that's my one probably top bucket list trip that I want to do. And I'm hoping to do that either next year or the year after. But this year, I'm going to fulfill another one of my bucket list foods. I love Indian food. I like the spices of it. I like the flavors. I like to be able to, add the heat. And I'm excited because in November of this year, I'm going to be heading to India on one of my bucket list trips. And I'm looking forward to doing the real tandoori chicken while I'm there. Getting that vibrant, the chicken meat and the spices and, the colors, because they use a lot of these, yellow and dark, bright colors of spice. And to have that tandoori chicken that's just that's marinated in these spices. It also gets marinated in like yogurt and a little bit of honey and all that. And then it's cooked in this tandoor clay pot. And it's just marinated for a time. And it's just, oh my gosh, I can just taste it now. I think that's what I'm going to have for lunch now. Actually, I have a group coming in here at 11:30. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to go out and get that for lunch. But we're going to be, to have that with fresh naan bread in India. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited by it. I think it's one of those things where, just to have those foods in the actual country, where they're made and where they're invented, where things have come from. To me, that's just the best thing in the world, to be able to have an experience. Whether it's going to be bagels in New York City, going out to have tapas all over the streets of Barcelona. Yes, having escargot in France and trying that. And those of you that have had oysters or clams on the half shell, having an escargot is nothing more than just having something like that. Heading out to China for Peking duck, I want to do that. Mostly if they render the fat off that duck and they get that skin really crispy. It's just an amazing experience. Again, we talked about having a cooking class in the Tuscany region of Italy. Folks, if you haven't done that yet, seriously, you want to set it up and get it. Call us here at Creative Travel Inc. You can go find us on the web at creativetravelinc.com. So it's creativetravelinc.com. You can give us a call here, at our office. We are located at 11E Liberty Plaza in Newark, Delaware. And it's a great opportunity to come out and to have us help you with one of these great bucket list trips. Remember, having gelato in Italy is always one of those big things that you want to do. Tasting wine directly from a barrel. We talked about that today, and wanting to have that opportunity to go to either France, Italy, California, just taste wine right out of the barrel. We talked about if you're in Venice, go over to Harry's Bar. Check out one of their Bellinis. That's where the Bellini was founded. Obviously, you have a gyro, and you're going to learn how to say that one right, folks. It's not gyro. It's not gyro. It's a gyro, like Y-E-E, gyros. And having one of those in Greece, or even a doner kebab in Turkey, having that is just amazing. I've had both of those. I was very fortunate in my lifetime to be able to travel that way. Having an aperitivo, obviously, the great cocktail and all that food that comes with it, the olives, the nuts, the burrata, the salami, oh my gosh, and just washing it down with that aperitif is just an amazing experience. I'm looking forward at some point doing one of my bucket lists to have the sashimi, walking through Japan and just getting that. I have a feeling that it's all over the place like it is, like French fries are here, but that's one of my bucket list trips. And then, of course, the next one I'm trying to do is the heading out for India, doing the tandoori chicken and having that flavors, the vibrant spices, the flavors, and all that stuff in India. And I just think that that's going to be the one of the best ways to experience the Indian food, as I am going to look at and have when I am there. So today we've been talking about these great bucket list trips of food and food travels and food experiences that you want to do in your lifetime. I welcome you all to come join us on one of these trips. If you'd like to have us help you plan one, or if you have something in particular you'd like to see, please let us know. Again, we are live right here on Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Creative Travel Worldwide, and we are located in Newark, Delaware, but we're on the web at www.creativetravelinc.com. That's creativetravelinc.com. And if you're in the Newark, Delaware area, please come on out and check us out. We have an office right here. We have a storefront, 11E Liberty Plaza, Newark, Delaware. And one other thing, we do have the website, creativetravelinc.com, but we also have another one. It's Cuba-travel-services.com. And that can be all about our Cuba trips. And we do a food tour of Cuba. So you have a great opportunity to try foods from a variety of different things. And in the 7 years that I've been going to Cuba, the 27 times I've been there, I've tried all kinds of new foods and ways they're presenting them and better ways for them to learn about their resources, and they're starting to grow and build their base of what is out there. So come on out, try it out. Let us help you plan one of these great bucket list trips of food. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Again, this is Bob Older. We're live from 11:30. If you're listening to this after hours, you don't want to call us now, but you can reach us on the web, www.creativetravelinc.com, or give us a call, 302-658-2900. Again, that's 302-658-2900. And we hope to hear from you next week. And we're going to have a great show talking about other things when we come back next week. So tune in. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next time.